of the one I just chose one actually, and it's called PDF Match. I don't know if anyone's used that. It's a Chrome extension that I've got installed. And the reason I installed it, I can share my screen actually, is that mainly for the website sharing website stories. So we use WordPress as our website platform. And it does have a staging site, but it's a bit, you have to copy. You could share the staging site with people to approve articles, but it's just easier to PDF the actual page once I've built it in on the actual live site as a draft page. And then PDF Match allows me to PDF it, retain the links in it that go to external URLs or internal URLs. And so they can actually see, it's like what you see is what you get when they see it. So often, when I share a news story in Word with them, they'll approve it, but then I publish it live and share the link, and they go, "Oh no, that looks wrong," because just having it in a different layout and form sometimes makes them see things differently or pick different things up. So that's just helped me in terms of making the approval processes much quicker and making it, I think it's a bit more transparent too. They actually see what it looks like before it goes live. So I'll just quickly share my screen. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Yeah. Can everyone see that okay? Yeah. So this is the Seri page. Oh, sorry, I just can't see my toolbar. So if you go to Chrome extensions, just Google Chrome extensions to find it. And then you pop over to extensions, and then you can just Google in here PDF. Is it PDF page? And that's what it looks like. So it's a PDF with a little witch's hat on top. And then it's a little bit hard to see here, but then it'll pop up in your Chrome extensions up the top in your menu bar. And so what it does, I'll give an example here. This is a draft page on our website, so it hasn't been published yet. And if you just click on the PDF, it'll save the PDF into your downloads folder. Hopefully it'll be quick. I should have prepared one earlier. And then it comes up in your downloads, and there we go. Are you still following me? Can you see the downloads? Excellent. So click on that. And it even retains like the whole page right down to the footer, the newsletter sign up, so they can see what the associated articles will be sitting that we've linked to the bottom of the page. And these links like this, I thought that button followed. Sorry, that one's not. Maybe because it's not linked actually yet. But this one should, yeah, it does. So the links, maybe only the embedded links follow. But anyway, it's enough to get approvals. So that's one of my go-to apps. And then I was going to ask Karen to share as our engagement coordinator, because I'm sure all of you have to organize webinars, events, symposiums. I'm not sure how much you're involved in that, but we often get requests for polls or, breakout rooms and all the other add-ons that you can do now with online events. So I might throw to Karen if that's okay. I'll stop sharing. And you can share, Karen, if you're okay to share your events. And please, if you want to shout out questions along the way, this is just a very informal sharing workshop today. So please let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Ainsley. So yeah, the first app that I'm going to look at today is Slido, which you're probably familiar with this, but if you're not, basically for the reason of just showing you how you can access, so no download of anything required before, it is just a web-based application. So I find the best option is just that top one in the chat there where you're taken directly to the link, but you can also ask people to just go to slido.com and then put in the event code as such, or the poll code or whatever you want to call it. So if you follow that link, you'll see a little question there today regarding the US election. So just for the purposes of showing this, how it works, and I'm hoping that the live results work. I will just try and find.
It's fun watching the live results.
We're all so optimistic.
Yeah, so that's just a bit of fun. More serious sort of ones, I find, things like word clouds. I mean, that's just a very limited snapshot of what Slido can do, but things like word clouds can be really invaluable as well. I've used those quite a bit from an engagement perspective. And if you are organising like a webinar or just even sort of a more general meeting, sometimes doing a poll or a word cloud or something like that, it does just break up. Particularly if something's quite dry, it can just sort of break it up. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. And yep, we have a question.
Hi, Karen. Thanks.
Hi.
Just wondering, is there any number of responses that you can receive? Like for some polling apps like Poll Everywhere, you have a free account, they only limit to maybe 25 responses.
So we actually have an annual subscription. So I think it's unlimited with a subscription. So I can't probably a quick Google could probably tell you what the free account can provide. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that because we do have I should have actually clarified that we do actually have a paid subscription, annual subscription to that.
Mm-hmm.
But good question.
Does anyone else know? Does anyone else use Slido? No. It's different too. For some organizations have these apps, the event apps built into your systems. Like if you use 365 or Microsoft Office. So there was some other apps you used too, Karen, maybe just sharing the Slido.
And I'll put one, so one other, I think we've got time for this, is Padlet. And again, I'm not sure if you've heard of this. This one's more of a collaboration tool. So if you go into that link, I'm hoping that you see a couple of questions there to stream, what I'll call streams. Let me know if you're having any issues. And yeah, if you want to just put something in those two streams just to see how it works. This is really great. We've used these quite a bit for our policy dialogues, for example, where you want to capture, you don't just want to, a normal video recording, you want to actually capture content in some sort of written form. So yeah, I mean, policy dialogues are probably the best example that I could give that we've used it before, but you might think of other broader applications for yourself. Has anyone actually used or aware of Padlet before? Just very interested. So Julia, you're aware of it. Yeah, just interesting to see how many people actually use or have heard and all that sort of thing. So
any other questions around the event apps?
I wouldn't mind knowing more about the word cloud, but only if other people are interested, just to see how it works. Anybody else interested in that one?
Yes, we were looking at it for an event we've got coming up with the whole of the centre. So yeah, if we've got time, I'd appreciate it too.
Okay, well, I'll very, very quickly set one up.
Do you want me to jump to Jenny while you set it up?
Actually, that might be a good idea. Thank you, Ainsley.
I'll do some
No
filler
problem. Jenny, is
content.
that okay? Thanks.
That's fine.
Always handy.
Look, I was going to share some ones that people are probably very aware of. Canva. I don't know if there's some Canva users, but for anyone who, yeah, Rebecca. So for anyone that hasn't checked it out, I really encourage you to look at it if you need to design anything, or even if you just want to zhuzh up a presentation of some sort. It's super fun to use. They actually offer a lot of templates. There's a free version as well, so you might not get all of the templates and content, but there's enough on there without having to sign up and pay a subscription. But it really is the templates give you inspiration. They're not necessarily going to be, oh yeah, I'm going to just use that template that they've suggested, but it can help you have a think about what you want or what you need, just some ideas. So I think, yeah, a lot of fun if you ever have to design something or you want to make something look super professional. And the other one I was going to suggest is LinkedIn. I don't know if you're all on LinkedIn. I think, well, for me personally, I found LinkedIn to be an excellent professional tool, professional networking tool. So it's been great for job hunting, bit of professional stalking before meetings, great for recruiting. So when wanting to hire staff, just having a look around at different people. But it also is a really great way to share knowledge, share good news stories about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Oh, Rebecca, thanks for that tip about Canva. Yeah. No, that's true. As not-for-profit, you can get upgrades, so you get the full bells and whistles. Yeah, so LinkedIn and Canva are my two ones that
Jenny.
I like.
I was really skeptical about Canva because I'd been trained in Adobe Creative Suite, Photoshop, and InDesign. But Jenny's converted me completely. So we've got all our templates in there, especially when you're a small team. So if you can share it, like Rebecca was saying, if you can share it with your team members and have all your templates and branding inbuilt into it, things like your PowerPoint presentation template, it's potentially, we haven't done that yet, but potentially a way that can free up our time and resourcing in doing that for people and our colleagues. The other thing was the images, Jenny. You can source the images as well, free images, copyright-free images within Canva. So it's just like a one-stop shop especially for socials. It's amazing. And I actually built an animation, explainer animation on it that we can use for socials that's coming up. So, and that was so much easier than going into Adobe and using one of their programs where you sort of have to be a bit more skilled in doing it often. So yeah, really user-friendly and easy to pick up. And even if it's just like you said, Jenny, the idea generation, like gives you templates that you can sort of bounce off and build on. So thank you for that. Anyone else have some apps they'd like to share?
I'll just do this word cloud, Ainsley, if
Oh,
that's
you
okay.
ready? Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Karen.
it looks like some people have noticed that you can actually use the same link. So if you get used to this, you can, as part of a set within a meeting, you can just activate different polls. So for example, if I had that poll set up and then I had the word cloud, I can just go in and activate it and everyone can just use the same link. So I will actually share. Hopefully this will work. This is a nice touch as well, actually to share, particularly if you've got a live, sort of a larger event. We actually use this at the workshop in Darwin at PHA this year. So you could actually see the word cloud building as people were sitting there. And again, it's just a really nice, thing to break up a meeting and, yeah, get sort of people connecting. So, yeah, if you just want to throw in a few more words there, and sure you've got the gist of how it's working. And you can actually save all these results. You can actually just download as a PDF. So, for example, for the workshop in Darwin, I actually just downloaded that as a PDF and circulated that to the presenters after the workshop, just as a nice little thank you and a summary for what people thought on the day. So
That's really helpful. Thanks, Karen, for looking that up.
Okay, well, I might stop sharing. But yeah, thanks for that.
Does that help? I think, Rebecca, were you saying you might use it? And Jenny, you said yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So my understanding is you would just get everybody to fill in, like they would submit all the words that they associated with whatever question. So you're not asking for predetermined responses there to sort of see which ones pop up.
You can set up, so if you had a poll, for example, you could actually have a multiple choice setup where you're actually providing the answers. So, what of the following, do you agree with or something? And you'd have sort of a preempted list.
Okay.
Or I find, with the word cloud, it is that more fluid sort of, what comes to mind when you think about the SciComm COP. So you probably wouldn't sort of have a set list so it just, I guess whether you use a poll or a word cloud depends on that sort of situation. But they can be really, if used in the right place, they can be really effective. Yeah.
And they're really visually appealing, I think, aren't they? Like they're nice to look at. So yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Karen.
No worries.
Any other offers of their apps or ideas, programs? Can be anything. Or questions about how to do things. Yeah.
I have one. I've got I'll just pop it in the chat. It's called Unsplash. Some of you may already know it. This one actually came up for me because of the article that we're writing, and we need to provide some nice, compelling imagery. So this one is essentially a repository where you can search any particular term or phrase or word, and it will come up with related images. And all of them are Creative Commons, so you can use them in many different ways. So it's really clear on the licensing, which I find particularly helpful. So I use that a lot.
Do you find it? Sorry.
I was just going to say,
go.
I came across a similar sort of resource, which I'm just putting in the chat this week, actually, which is it's quite medical health specific, but it's free illustrations. So they're like little sketch drawings of like people doing things in a hospital or people pipetting, or so if you do have issues with, I don't know, like people's faces and stuff in images, then these are kind of ways around it. And it's completely free as well. So
it's fantastic. Thank you. I did add another one too. You reminded me, Shelley, of one I found yesterday actually that I had bookmarked but not used yet, which is Age Without Limits. So age positive image library. And I haven't used it yet, but Jenny and I were looking at it, and it looks like you just have to sign in for an account. I don't think they're free, but disclaimer is I haven't looked into it further in terms of use. So there's a few like that, and there's an obesity one too that I've been looking at. I think there's this one, which is the World Obesity Federation, that have their own image library, which is also free. And last time I checked, there was one more.
Is it the Weight Loss Industry Weight Issues Network? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Just going to put that in the chat. That was another one we were looking at.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Oh, the Respectful Image Library. Yeah, that was beautiful too. The Weight Issues Network.
Definitely adding that bio art one to my image folder. Thanks.
We can collate these and share them in an email afterwards with the links, so don't have to click and save right now if you don't have the room on your desktop. Kayla.
There's one that I've tested. I haven't used it properly yet, but I've tested it. So if you have an Adobe account, you can use Adobe AI to generate images. And because it's AI, there's no copyright attached to it. Obviously, you need to be careful and really check the images before you use them. But yeah, you can play around with it and ask it prompts and ask it to update the image based on your feedback as well, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I can't remember what that is. Is it Flame or something like that? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's Adobe AI Firefly, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used it and got some. We're using it for a cookbook to generate. You know how when you do a cookbook, you have to like organize everyone to cook the recipes, shoot a photo, take photos of the recipes to compile like 100 recipes. We were like, is there a way around this? Because it was for a charity. And so we started testing that app, Kayla, and some of them were fantastic. And then some of them, nearly all of them, the knife and fork was like skewy. It was like, what's going on there? It just never sat right.
Yeah,
It was
sometimes
really random things.
Yeah, sometimes there'll just be one thing in the photo that doesn't look quite right.
Yeah,
But if you
okay.
check them carefully, sometimes they're good. But yeah, I definitely, not all of them are usable, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I've just put the OpenAI one as well, DALL-E, in the chat as well.
Thanks.
Don't
Awesome.
ever ask them to write text within your image. They fail badly.
Okay, good to know.
Even if you spell it out for them what you want to write in there.
Yeah, images, I don't know about you guys, but images take me often. I can be stuck on finding an image for way too long. Jolie?
I have one that I use really often. It's an extension on the Chrome. It's called Paint. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
And it looks like a little palette over here. So can you see the pop-up?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's quite good because you can sometimes, because I manage a website, and sometimes if there's anything that needs to be changed, I'll have to send the information to the vendor. So this is really quick. I could just either click this text tool and maybe just say change this. It will everything will show on the screen. Or if I just highlight this paragraph, and if I want to, I can actually take a screenshot of this and then send it directly to the vendor, so that I don't have to like kind of write him a passage about what to change. Everything is on this screen, and you can just take a photo of whatever that is here, and it will generate that image with all the things that I've added them for them to change. And if I'm on another website and I really like this pink color over here, I can also go to this eyedrop icon and then click on this color, and I could get the hex code over here.
Yeah.
And then to use it in other templates as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I use this really often and almost every day.
Yeah.
And then you can just delete them, and then everything's back to normal. So this is something that's really helpful on the Chrome extension.
Oh, thanks. I hadn't seen that one or used it before. I do it the other way around, so that's much easier.
Oh, okay, which way is it?
So I screen capture and then edit. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So it's that's what it is, isn't it? It's just down to what your processes and what's apps combination finds easier. So that's why I love learning about all these new ones.
Yes, there's something to improve our life.
Yeah. Thank you. Any others? Any other questions about what apps could use for a specific functionality you might have come across this week, Rebecca?
I was just wondering if anyone had discovered any good apps for kind of auto-generating infographics. So we use ChatGPT a little bit, and it does, if you put the data in, it will create something, but it sounds like a lot of the other image AI generated pieces and apps that it's so weird what comes
Yeah.
out. Like words are missing and images are kind of quite strange. So yeah, if anyone had any infographics tools or tips for using ChatGPT or other AI tools more effectively.
Is anyone, Jenny? You might.
I
have a-
feel like there must be something like that, because I feel like ChatGPT is usually good on text, but not good. It might recommend maybe you could use this sort of picture. It's more like a brainstorming buddy. But I feel like you, Rebecca, it's like somebody's got to create that. Canva have some great, so yeah, Julia's just put in the chat. Canva has great templates for infographics. And so that's where it comes. I keep going back to that one and going, oh, well, that's good for inspiration. And they've got lots of little icons you can use. There will already be some kind of infographic created for, but they're usually for like holistic services, not medical. So you have to just kind of use it as just a real rough thing and then going back in and thinking of your own. But yeah, somebody's maybe that's what we can do next year. We can create a new AI tool.
That'd be amazing.
Magically
Yes, please.
magically creates infographics.
I will
Thanks, Jenny.
say that if you pay for the subscription versions of these LLM, AI bots, they are much better. So if you're having
Okay.
problems with ChatGPT, try the free month on the latest version. At least I haven't ever tried graphics in like or any images in ChatGPT. I use it for code mainly, but the paid version is so much more correct than
Okay.
yeah.
That's great advice. Thanks, Shelley.
Just wondering with Rebecca's question about getting the AI to generate the infographic, could you kind of do it another way? Like say, for instance, you create a simple infographic and then asking the ChatGPT to give you some guidance on it? Like just putting in the right prompt to say, provide a succinct image with a woman holding this rather than that. And then you just have to work with the ChatGPT to get what you want, but you can start off with something that you already have first and then ask the ChatGPT or Copilot to build it along the way. Does it work that way?
I actually don't think you can feed images to ChatGPT. So I think DALL-E is AI's, so that's Microsoft OpenAI, that's their image product. So ChatGPT is text-based.
Okay.
And so if you want something to interpret an image, it's not ChatGPT, it would be DALL-E, but I've never actually done it that way. Always
Okay.
asked for something out.
The inquiry I put into ChatGPT to help inform the image creation is, I will say, I'm creating an infographic. The statement is blah. What sort of graphic might be a good way to illustrate this? And I might even say, give me 10 ideas of different graphics, because it usually comes up with some crazy ones. I've even gone so far as it's given me 10 and I've gone, oh, you can do better than that, ChatGPT. And then it's given me 10 more that have been really good.
Sorry, I was looking for something that I used to create some infographics and I can't remember. Through a free app, and I can't remember what it was called. I was trying to do a search, but it's not coming up. And the head of comms for the Sachs Institute was saying she uses something, but again, sorry, I'll have to find out, but I will find out and I'll add it to the list that we share around later. Because she does her board reports using it. Pictochart, yeah. I think I threw something in about screen capturing. I had to do a presentation on science comms, in terms of what's so different about science communication from corporate communications recently. And so I was trying to find good examples of presentations that have really resonated with me, conference presentations. And I found one from the PHAA that someone had done, and I'd still remembered, like a few years later, how she'd she'd presented her research on tobacco and talked about the story about her growing up in her house with her dad, who was a smoker, and how he got sick. And she talked through the story and had a picture of him up on screen. And anyway, so I needed to capture just a snippet of it for my presentation, but because it wasn't publicly available. And so in the end, I can't remember what I used, but I did capture it. But I was thinking, oh, does anyone else do this all the time? Like, I've used Otter in the past to do that, which is great because you can schedule it to, like, if you want to watch an overseas presentation in a weird time zone, you can schedule it to capture that and still be asleep and have it in the morning ready to go. But they're the only Otter. And I think in the end, I just did, I can't remember what I did. I think I did just looked up a free tool and grabbed it and somehow managed to make it work. But yeah, so any ideas? Anyone had to do that recently?
It's really basic to say that I just use the snipping tool that you have when you type snipping tool all the time.
Did you capture audio and video?
No, just to capture images.
Yeah, no, I wanted the audio especially. I heard talking about it.
Right.
I do remember now it was PowerPoint I used, and it was like it had a tool in PowerPoint to capture audio and video. So that was, yeah.
Mm.
So I'm looking at all the links coming through, making sure I capture them. Stable Diffusion Web.
Ainsley, there's a screen recorder on the Chrome extension.
Yeah.
That you can capture video or just a still image. Yes, but I'm not sure how long it can capture the video for.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
What computer do you have, Ainsley?
PC.
I know one for Mac, but yeah.
What's the one for Mac, Ella?
There's just a screen recorder that's really good.
Okay, cool.
It's just really easy to use, and it can record for as long as you want, audio, visuals, everything. The only thing is, I think for some screen recording apps and things, they often, if something's licensed in some way, your screen will go black and it won't record anything.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so for example, if you're recording like something from a ABC News broadcast or something, it won't actually record. So you've got to check that sometimes as well.
Okay. Julia, I was going to ask about the Stable Diffusion AI app.
Yeah, I haven't used it a lot. I just remember that we played with it in a workshop some time ago. So you can create images, basically, so text to image.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
And I guess it always comes down to the prompt. Yeah.
Yes.
So how detailed your prompt is, and create an image in the style of Van Gogh, or some art, or whatever you want to create. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks. That looks really interesting as well. There's so many out there.
Mm-hmm.
This is more on just the normal AI, like the text-based AIs, but we tend to use Claude AI and also Perplexity AI quite a lot. So Claude, I find, is a little bit better than ChatGPT at, giving you templates for things, maybe, communication documents that you want to set up. So if you, just as a really basic example, if you put a prompt in to say, give me a template, a comms plan template, like a really basic one, it will kind of pre-populate that, and then you can ask it, well, this is the topic and I want this in, and it will start pre-populating it for you, just as a brainstorming basis, I guess, just to save you time on that kind of front end, and then you can go in and input your real information. The other one, Perplexity AI, is a newer one to me, but it's quite interesting. When you go onto it, it gives you the option to search academic papers, which I find is quite interesting. I'm still testing how accurate it is at the moment, but one thing that's really handy is it will give you references, and then you can click on the reference and it will take you to the paper that it's sourcing it from. Obviously, it can't access everything. I'm assuming it's only open access, but yeah, it's an interesting one that I've seen recently.
Yeah, thanks. So what have you used it for, Kayla? Or what would you use that
Perplexity.
for? Yeah,
Perplexity, I use it just as so obviously we do our own literature reviews to get kind of evidence, etc. But I always use it just as a very, very initial kind of give me some information on this, just as like a brainstorming tool, really. And then we'll actually go and do our proper research, you know, through the normal channels. But it's just a nice initial tool to use, I guess. Yeah.
Another one that's come through.
I just put something else in the chat. I don't know if you know the ChatGPT store. They have lots of like specialized GPTs within that. They are trained on specific topics, or for example, I think what's it called? One of them is for scientific stuff. What's it called? Scholar, I think it's called. And if you go through the list, there are lots of other different tools, and they may be better or than the GPT in general, the ChatGPT, because they are more trained on specific topics, I guess. So that's another source.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. It's got so many, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but it's interesting to see what's
overwhelming.
trending. Yeah, it is a little bit overwhelming. There's even a research and analysis section. And visualize information. That would be interesting. There must be an infographic one in there somewhere. Design.
I'm going to put one. I'm going to pop one in the chat. This is one that I haven't used, but our head of prevention was at a dinner party and tested this and said it was amazing. It's a tool where you pop in your research paper and it turns your research paper into a podcast. And apparently with very quite accurate. But apparently, again, and like I'm talking with no experience of this at all, but apparently it was only American voices, so it wasn't entirely perfect for our environment, but just so interesting to see where it's going.
I've actually seen, I think it's this one, I'm not sure. I've seen this demoed for a code base. So like a whole entire kind of like repository that builds this like application, and then they put it through this thing, and it's literally two people going, oh, and in this chunk of the code, this is what's happening. And they've got American accents and it's awful. Sorry, excuse me, but like really twangy. But they even like in one section were really sassy about like the code, you know, like, oh, that could have been written better. I wonder why they chose to do that. Like, it's just mind-boggling. So I think it's that one. I'm not 100% sure, but something along those lines that you just feed it stuff and it interprets it in spoken word.
We've actually used, I think, maybe the same thing. We put in a report that we've done recently, and it was scarily accurate and also scarily good in terms of the humor. There was a lot of humor throughout it, that it sounded genuinely real. Like a lot of the insights or the way it was saying things, we obviously didn't have it like that in the report. Our report's quite, you know, straight information. It was just like a lot of statistics, really. And it kind of took those statistics and used them in a really human way with humor and insights into them. So it's quite scary. But yes, American accent as well, no Australian accents.
Has anyone published anything created by AI? No, because that's going to bring up a whole other challenge for us.
I think there's musicians that have published their whole, like there's some band that published, like released a whole album that was AI generated. I'm sure there's authors that have done the same thing. Like, I think it's so far been done to prove a point, but we won't be able to tell the difference in a few years.
No, and the regulation will be so far behind the technology again. But yeah, that will be something we'll need to think of in the future. We've got some a working group looking at apps that we can use internally, but looking at the risks around them and building some business rules for creating, you know, like, yes, they're okay to use, but, you know, anything you upload to those public sites is publicly available. So we're just getting some guidelines around when we can use them, how we can use them, and what information is okay to put in them, which is, you know, more or less common sense for us as communicators, but it's good to have the guidance written down and, yeah, some rules, some internal regulations, so to speak, or policy around it. Because it would be easy just to pop stuff in, like it's just so easy to access all those apps and pop something in that's, you know, might be sensitive or risk adverse in terms of the organizational information. But that's the other thing. I've heard of other people creating annual reports with every image is AI generated, but they've done it on purpose to create a conversation around it. And the feedback was that no one liked it. They were all really hesitant to it, but at least it had that. It did generate conversation around using it. So that was interesting. Any other questions? Apps to share, links to share? That's really useful if you do think of anything, even when I share the notes or after that, we can add to it. It can be an ongoing list, dynamic list of apps and what they're used for. That would be really useful. That's it. That's all we were planning to for today. I'm not sure if anyone has any other. Yeah, Julia, can see your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question for the group that's not related to this that I just thought
Yeah,
I'd put out there
sure.
to see if anyone can help. Our centre director has asked me to find a company that we can release a media release internationally related to promoting the results of a paper, essentially.
Yes.
I've been doing a heap of looking and searching and that sort of thing, and the only thing that I can find that seems to be within sort of any reasonable budget is EIN Presswire.
Heard of that one.
Yeah, it's based in America, but they do send things out through Associated Press, and it goes on to Google News and a few bits and pieces. I just didn't know if anyone else had any other links. I mean, the next best I found was one called Global Newswire, but my initial investigations found that the most budget approach was about $4,000 US. So that wasn't going to be happening.
Have you looked at Cymex is only Australia and New Zealand, but I do wonder if they've got contacts. I'll put the link in the chat. I've only recently signed up to them. I can't believe I haven't signed up before, but so you can submit a media release to them and they'll share it, but it's Australia and New Zealand, Julia. So I'm not sure, but surely they would know. They might have contacts.
And is that a free service?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a useful app to share anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're starting to I know the SACs have already they put all their media releases on it for their journal, and coincidentally at the same time I discovered it, and so Jenny and I were looking at it to say, yeah, we should be putting our media releases on there. It might just another channel where journalists might be picking up, especially science, you know, as a science-based information source. It's perfect. It just channels, like profiles our science content a little bit more than just a broad blanket media release to all media.
Yeah, thank you.
No, that's okay. Sorry, and I don't know about the international. Sorry, I don't know. Jenny, you don't know any international distribution, no?
No, I spent a fair amount of time Googling.
Yeah.
I seem to get these strange kind of requests that are difficult to really answer. Yeah.
What about the George Institute's media team?
Well, Deacon's media team couldn't help me. They don't really do anything with that international type reach. I mean, we'll probably still work with them for them to put out a version through the channels that they have.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's very broad, saying it'd be good if this could be picked up by some international media.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It feels a little bit needle in a haystack, to be honest, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just checking one of my
I think if it
contacts.
gets shared, oh, sorry, Julia's got a hand up. You're on mute, Julia.
That's all right. I wasn't talking.
Oh no, other Julia.
You're on mute, Julia.
Julia
Sorry,
Groening.
Julia G.
Julia
I should
G.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm here. I'm using Copilot a lot, and I thought, I just asked the question, if there's an international media release free service somewhere, and it comes up with a list.
Yeah.
PR log, Open PR, IssueWire, Pressbox, and PR.com.
Are you able to put that link, Julia, in the link for Julia T? In the chat, sorry, in the chat.
Yeah, I'll see if there's anything. Pressbox.com.
It might be things you've already investigated, Julia, but maybe there's one.
Yeah, I've looked up and Googled. I did even ask ChatGPT, put in for some suggestions, and looked through them. And I went through a list of about 20 things, but a lot of them were for business and electronics and companies, and not really related to, the type of content that we're releasing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's useful at all, but I try to get into the habit of not Googling, but asking, Copilot, for example. I find that useful often.
Yeah, I discovered Copilot this week was available to us, and that was really interestingly what it churned out was actually much more helpful than Google. So
a bit quicker often.
Yeah, and more nuanced, I think. Oh, thanks.
And Copilot usually gives you the sources.
Yes.
As well. I know that's pretty awesome.
That's really.
So you can check if it's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah, that does look good.
PR.com. I'm not sure if that's helpful.
PR.com. Yeah, okay.
Open PR.
Thank you. So many on there. It's like, lovely. Any other questions that not related to apps in general, but queries you wanted to bring to the group? Any challenges this week or recently? No. Everyone getting ready for end of year. Is there an end of year rush to get reports done, impact reports done, annual reports? I know we're doing the annual report at the moment, so the infographic question I'm going to look up. Lovely. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. I'm not sure if we'll have another one this year, but reach out if you would like another one. I know you've got burning question. I'm sure Jenny's happy to host a final session. But otherwise we'll start. Sorry, I won't, but the team will start up in the new year. So it's been lovely getting to know you all, and thank you for all your advice and help, especially today. That was amazing. And yeah, we look forward to joining you again in the new year. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.